To book your appointment today.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
Step back, three-point shot in the air, bang, it's good. James Harden for three.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
Oh, what a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Well, we are another 24 hours plus away from another James Harden, Joel Embiid game tomorrow night. Sixers versus Knicks again. You can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. We'll talk NBA today with Julian Edlow from DraftKings. Talk a little basketball with him. State of the league as we are down the stretch they come. Of course, we'll also get a little Eagles information for you guys out there. You know, that mock draft, that's on 97.3 ESPN.com by the one and only Mel Kiper. Got a problem with it. Definitely got a problem with that. Also, we'll get to it right now and get it over with. And you can join the conversation as well about the Sixers, the NFL, the NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball's idiocy. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973 is the text board, or you could DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. And I got to tell you guys, baseball has done it. Just when I thought they couldn't get worse, just when I thought they couldn't get stupider, Rob Manfred gets up there and just wants to tell you sweet lies. You know, I don't hate Rob Manfred. Never met the guy. I don't know him personally at all. He told the media today at a press conference that he was running late for, by the way. Here's the quote from Rob Manfred today. The concerns of our fans are at the very top of our consideration list. That's from Rob Manfred, the man who is the face of the major league owners who have instituted a lockout. Now, remember, there doesn't need to be a lockout. This lockout is in place to force the players to the bargaining table in a way that would benefit the owners. Major League Baseball doesn't care about you, the fan. They don't care about their employees. The thousands of people who work in Florida at spring training, at the businesses locally, at the stadiums, at the clubhouses. They don't care about the stadium employees in Philadelphia or New York or Chicago or Boston. They don't care about the TV partners like ESPN and Fox, Turner Sports. They don't care about nobody except themselves. Because the baseball owners are the most tone-deaf, self-absorbed, self-righteous, ignorant, full of avarice schmucks on planet Earth. You know, we complain a lot about football owners. But you know what one thing Jerry Jones has never done? Jerry Jones has never sacrificed a football season for the sake of being right. Basketball owners, it took them years to figure it out, but they realized We need the players. When they were bleeding money a decade ago, over a decade ago now, they realized we need to partner with the players. Now the NBA is more profitable than ever. Most sports understand, most being the key word, that you need the players to have a game. Every ad you see for a tennis tournament, they highlight the players in the tournament. Every football commercial and basketball commercial about a game, they highlight the players in the game by name. Hockey, now they're back with ESPN. That's what they do. They have a commercial about the Oilers playing the Flyers, for example, because the Flyers play the Oilers tonight. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. You know who gets highlighted? Connor McDavid of the Oilers, Claude Giroux of the Flyers. It's a very simple equation. Every UFC commercial you've seen this week, it highlights the two main leaders on the fight card. The top of the card, Masvidal, Covington. Why? Because these sports understand that the players, the athletes, are what is going to sell the tickets, the product, the buys, the views, the clicks. Baseball doesn't understand that. They think they're better than the players, the owners do. They think they're smarter. They think they're know-it-all. And all they care about is being right. They don't care about the fans at all. Rob Manfred is the lead propagandist for the Major League Baseball owners. He gets up there on the podium and just tells you lie after lie after lie. Because he has to ease his own conscience. Rob Manfred knows that all of this could be avoided, but they don't care. And this gets back to the conversation that we always have about when it comes to sports business on a big picture. The reason why the NFL grosses about $20 billion a year, while the NBA grosses about $10 billion a year, why international soccer is also a multi-billion-dollar industry, why the UFC is one of the most fastest growing sports and profitable entities in the world. The reason why people pay money for these things is because those sports understand how to run a business. Baseball doesn't. And they don't care. They will cancel games for the sake of winning the negotiating battle. The owners would rather be right, and they would rather win a negotiation than compromise because they resent the players that much. These owners still think this is 1975 and Kurt Flood is taking them to court for free agency. They resent the players, and they resent you, the fan. They think you are an imbecile. They think you are a cretin. They think you are nothing more than plankton that they, the big fish, are going to feed off of. They think you are nothing more than just an opportunity for them to make money. Now, I'm not saying the players are any better, because the players' statement that came out with the Major League Baseball Players Association goes on to say this, quote, "From the beginning of these negotiations, players' objectives have been consistent to promote competition, provide fair compensation to young players, and uphold the integrity of our market system against the backdrop of growing revenues and record profits. We are seeking nothing more than a fair agreement." Well, the problem is the players are wrong in this too, because the players are walking in just as hard-headed as the owners are on some of these issues. And this is also where baseball doesn't get it right. You know what NBA players do and NFL players do? They let everything play out in the media, especially social media. How many times have you seen a Woj report about the NBA or a Shams report on the NBA or an Ian Rappaport report for NFL Network or Adam Schefter for ESPN, and you're thinking, man, is this guy just a talking piece for an agent or a player? The way they're reporting this information? Of course they are. But the players don't present their case to the fans to get them on their side. They'd rather cross their arms and give Rob Manfred the stink eye and walk out of the room. Both sides are wrong. But the owners are the villains. The players just are not making it any easier. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Powered by First Bank of Seattle City. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Or you can text the show at 609-403-0973. Chew on this for a minute. Ever since James Harden got traded to the 76ers, Hardin has the highest selling jersey in the NBA. The Sixers on Friday night had the most watched regular season game since the Iverson era, when Iverson carried the band of misfit toys to the NBA Finals. Yeah. That's how much juice there is with Harden and Embiid together in Philadelphia. And Harden is easily the best guard to play in Philadelphia since Iverson, too. You know, Mike Gill and I broke this down last week that there's a lot of similarities between Harden and Iverson. Both players have been MVPs. Both players have led the league in scoring. Both players are guys who have had to carry teams to the postseason. Both guys are players who have played on good teams and on bad teams. The difference is that Iverson didn't play in an era that was catered to his skill set, whereas Harden is. You know, they joked with Allen at the All-Star game when they had him on the TNT All-Star game broadcast. And they joked with him. They were like, hey, man, you know, what would it be like if you played today? And he laughs. And then he says, after he chuckles, he says, they'd be dead. I think that's the biggest difference to me between Iverson and Harden right now. And that is, Iverson just never had the chance to play with the players and the teams that Harden has. You know, when you saw Iverson play with Carmelo Anthony, when you saw him play in the Olympics, he was a great teammate. He was a great complimentary piece. But on that team that lost to the Lakers, Iverson was so elite, it took 2 future Hall of Famers to take him out. Harden needs to still get to that level, but he can get there, and he can do it with the Sixers. He can recreate history. You know, the last time there was a former MVP from Houston that arrived in Philadelphia, his name was Moses Malone. The chairman of the board, when he came to Philadelphia, helped win them a championship. Now, back then, that was the big man joined the wing player. This time, it's the wingman joined the big man. The roles are a little reversed. But the concept is similar. Joel Embiid and James Harden are the best tandem the Sixer fans have seen since Moses and Dr. J. That's not hyperbole. That's facts. Based on talent, based on achievements, based on resume, based on any metric you want to use. That's why all these people are intently watching the games. And that's what gets me excited. That's what gets the Sixer fan excited. And that's why basketball fans everywhere are saying this is must watch to see how this works out. Because the first 2 games were against some mediocre teams. But coming up, you got the Cavs, you got the Heat. Down the road, you got the Nuggets. You got Kyrie and the Nets coming to Philadelphia. It's going to be a wild ride. And I'm here for all of it. And you hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Tom McGinnis on the call starting tomorrow night for Sixers and Knicks. And then Friday versus the Cavs. Saturday versus the Heat. And, of course, all your coverage of Sixers basketball over at 97.3 ESPN.com. We'll talk more basketball on the other side. Julian Edlow from DraftKings joins us next right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's Flyers-Oilers tonight with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on your home for Flyers hockey in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
My guest today is Mark Stieber, who is the Senior VP and Chief Tax Information Officer with Jackson Hewitt. What are some of the new changes overall that any taxpayer across the country can expect?
2021 is a huge year, both good for taxpayers, lots of benefits, child credit, still more stimulus. But the bad news is it's still a very complicated year. Not much of this happens automatically. So if you have dependents, child credit's the first one, bigger earned income credit's the second one, and dependent care credit is the third one that you need to be watching out for. They're very beneficial on your tax return and can lead to tens of thousands of dollars in refund money, even if you have low or no tax liability. But as I said from the start, they don't happen automatic. You have to put forth the effort. You have to tell your tax pro. You have to provide some information, and you can get a nice big benefit on your tax return.
Brought to you by Jackson Hewitt. Discover thousands of dollars in new tax credits. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Can you ship out that order to the branch in Savannah?
Yep, it's got bananas.
No, Savannah! Savannah!
Yeah, I'm also going to add some strawberries.
You know, maybe instead of giving everyone their own personal blenders to make smoothies at our desks, they should have just ordered food through Easy Cater.
Oh, sorry, Jill, I can't right now. Got to ship that order out to Savannah.
Some food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Food for work, on time, and as ordered. From over 82,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Wait, aren't these all charitable donations?
At Magda's Tax Prep, every person counts.
I'd rather not have to file for an extension.
She needs new auditors to maximize returns on her family time.
On itemized deductions. Hey, can someone help with these 1099s?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
In sports, 3 goals is a hat trick. And when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get a hat trick of great savings and round-the-clock protection. So you might be thinking, wait, that's 2 things. A hat trick is 3. But in this metaphor, great savings counts as 2 goals, and so does round-the-clock protection. So it's like 4 goals, and that's more than 3. It's basic math.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Saving at the Home Depot means you can do more for less. Like making your laundry and life easier with a Samsung laundry pair with steam technology that eliminates stains and reduces wrinkles and odors. Enjoy savings on top-rated appliances online, in-store, or on the Home Depot app. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Valid February 10th through March 2nd, 2022. Free delivery applies to orders of $396 or more.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Sixers back in action tomorrow night. Of course, you can hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Sixers 2-0 with Hardin and Embiid. So where do they stand in the entire Eastern Conference? I feel like the odds are just fluctuating all over the place ever since Hardin got acquired. So we're going to get all that and more. Joining us right now on the show, Julian Edlow from DraftKings. You've heard him before here on 97.3 ESPN. At Julian Edlow on Twitter. Julian, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of juice in this area right now with Hardin in the building here in Philadelphia. And this Eastern Conference, I don't know who's going to win the conference, Julian, for sure. But here's what I do know. This is going to be a fun 2 months coming up.
Yeah, the NBA is wide open. And that's something that we haven't completely had in a while. The bubble year was different, and things kind of opened up.
That's a nice way of putting it.
The bubble year was different. So I think we kind of took some of the weird things that happened there. The Nuggets come back against the Clippers, blowing that lead. Miami coming out of the East, and kind of said, we can chalk it up to that, even though the Lakers, one of the favorites, came around and won it all in the end anyway. And then last year, I mean, nobody had that Phoenix Milwaukee final coming into things. So I think it's fair to say that the NBA, after we got the Cavs and Warriors 4 years in a row, and we knew what we were going to get every year, that's now changed. And there's a handful of teams in both conferences that could win it. So, the NBA, which is a league where, it's chalky. There were a lot of years where I just, laid juice on the Warriors and Cavs to win the conference, and it got right through and you make your money. You can't do that now. It's legitimately wide open, like a lot of the other leagues. And you can see somebody like in baseball and hockey swoop in and win. Maybe not quite as long shot. You can't just kind of get hot and win games. It's got to be one of the upper echelon talented teams, but there's a lot of teams in both conferences that can get through.
I'm curious your perspective on this because, since last night after Ja Morant had his monster game, people are starting to say, oh, maybe he'll win the MVP. And I'm curious what you think. What is more likely to happen, you think? That the Sixers win the conference or Embiid wins the MVP?
What is more likely to happen between those two?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Embiid win MVP, no doubt. And that doesn't mean the Sixers can't win the conference, but let's just go to odds. The Sixers are what? I think it's plus 370 on DraftKings Sportsbook to win the Eastern Conference. Joel Embiid is now the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. He's minus 110. It's Joel Embiid versus the field, essentially, to win MVP. So, Jokic is right there at plus 260. Could he win it again? He's right there, but it was kind of Joel Embiid's last year. And then he got hurt and it went to Jokic for playing all those games. So even if they're neck and neck, I go Embiid. Harden down the stretch looks like he's certainly going to be helping Embiid put up his numbers and be more efficient. 27 free throws, was it, in New York?
Yep.
Wow. So the other names, Ja Morant has made a huge climb up to 10-1. DeMar DeRozan, huge climb to 12-1. Good names, fantastic seasons, but not MVPs. When people say Ja Morant should be the MVP, I think it's just kind of wishful thinking of he's having a really great season and I want to reward him for it. But MVP, there's one MVP. He's not quite that. He's had a terrific season. But he does not do for his team what Joel Embiid does for the Sixers. The Grizzlies are 12-2, without Ja Morant this season.
Yeah, the Sixers have a losing record without Joel Embiid this year. Although Embiid hasn't missed as many games as he did last year. We know that for a fact. But that was part of my problem last year, Julian. I don't know if you and I talked about it last year, but it was they basically gave Jokic the award because he was the only guy who didn't miss time for COVID. Everybody on earth missed time for COVID last year. And Jokic was the only guy who didn't. It was we'll give it to him. I'm not downplaying the season he had, but it was people almost acted like he was the only guy standing there, so we'll give it to him.
Yeah, maybe that's a little strong. He was definitely right there with some of the other guys. But yes, what got him over the hump is playing the 82 games and getting his team to where he got them, and Jamal Murray going down and them still winning games. That was the narrative that got him there. And this year, unless Embiid gets hurt, the narrative is playing to Embiid's favor. And I could argue Jokic personally is probably having a better year this year than he did last year. But just not, the team isn't quite as good, and he has missed some games, which he didn't last year. So, at this stage, kind of similar, like Jokic and Embiid, 2 great seasons. Now we just need Embiid. If you're somebody holding a ticket on him or a Sixers fan, you need Embiid to get to the finish line healthy, and it's probably going to go his way.
Julian Edlow from DraftKings joining us right now on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, at Julian Edlow on Twitter. Check out all of his coverage of basketball, NBA, and college basketball over with DraftKings and on DK Live. Now, when you think about Embiid and Harden, in this area, people have an opinion, and I know they're a little biased, all right? Where does Embiid and Harden rank for you among the duos in the NBA right now? Are they the best? Are they top 3? Are they top 5? How are you tiering them after 2 games?
Yeah, it's a good question. I honestly haven't thought about it all that much. I'm trying to think of who would be one above them. We want to throw out some of the duos people are arguing it. I mean,
well, for example, you have Durant and Kyrie when they're both on the floor. You have Steph and Clay, who are still out there. You could probably say DeRozan and Levine are a tandem, right?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of these second ones like DeRozan and Levine.
Tatum and Brown are having a great season.
Tatum and Brown, but they can't touch Embiid, Harden. For me, I guess it's only Durant and Kyrie, maybe. But the things that you factor in are health, which I guess you can do with Harden and Embiid as well. But I really, it comes down to Kyrie. If he's a part-time player, he's a half-time player, then I can't, if you just roll the balls out and say who are the 2 most talented players, I probably lean Durant and Kyrie, just because more so Durant. Durant's 1 out of that foursome to me. He's probably still the best player in the NBA. Remember what he did in the postseason last year and how just above and beyond anybody else he was. So Durant is the guy for me. But if we're talking duos this season, they're neck and neck with Kyrie and KD. And until Kyrie can play on a full-time basis, you got to give it to Embiid and Harden.
I mentioned Brown and Tatum. I know you up there, you see a lot of the Celtics and you see what's going on with them. How impressive is it their turnaround? Because Tatum and Brown were playing individually very well, but it feels like the last 2 months they've ratcheted up the team play. They've gone from being a solid team to a team that if they get hot in the playoff series, they could wreck somebody.
Yeah, we're about to learn a lot about the Celtics because they had a fantastic February. They have the most efficient starting lineup in the NBA, but they also ran down a lot of bad teams and a lot of shorthanded teams. So we're going to find out. A lot of people got really high on the Patriots here in the middle of the season when they ripped off 7 in a row against bad teams, missing their best player, and then they kind of turned into what they were to finish the season, losing 3 of their last 4 regular season games and then getting mopped in the playoffs against the Bills. The Celtics, what I will say with the Celtics that I don't know if this comparison adds up with the Patriots, you can tell with the eye test watching the Celtics, they're playing very good team basketball. They're in it. They're feeling good. They're winning games. Now we're about to find out. They got the Hawks tonight. I'll be going to see Ja Morant here in Boston on Thursday night. I'm excited about that. Then they get the Nets, presumably with Durant back on Sunday. Hornets, Pistons, blah. But then Mavericks, Warriors, Kings, Nuggets, Jazz, Timberwolves. Things are going to get more difficult is where I'm going here. So ask me in a couple weeks and we'll know if they're playing efficient basketball and it looks the same and they're getting the wins against these good teams, then yeah, they're going to be a team that, is in that maybe a 5-6 seed and you're not going to want to see them in the first round.
Yeah. I think the Eastern Conference is just stacked. And I think the Celtics are arguably one of the most dangerous teams.
And the margin,
because of that.
When you look at the standings, Josh, we see these teams, you have a good week, you can go from the 7 seed to the 4 seed. It's so jumbled that the difference is home court. But when you get a 3-6 with whoever that could be, let's say it's the Celtics and the Sixers have home court there. it's a razor thin margin in terms of where the teams finish the season. Probably it's just you got home court, and in Philly's situation, you got the two best players. So I would lean Philly there. But these matchups in the playoffs in the East, in terms of the seeding, these teams are going to be almost as good as each other, all playing each other. Besides maybe the top two seeds.
It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. You know what? The one team I think that does not want to see the Celtics in the first round is the Cavs. Because I just feel like
the Cavs are interesting.
The Cavs are interesting, but they don't have the experience. You know what I mean? Like the Celtics, Tatum and Bradley's been to the postseason a few times. It's not like they're new kids on the block over here. So, to me, I feel like the Cavs are a team. They need to face somebody in the playoffs who at least is almost like on their level, like a Charlotte or something that they could at least, try to compete with. Like even Toronto, maybe, because they're so young.
Yeah, I'll just take what you said about Cleveland. I don't even think that's just the Celtics. I think that all these teams want to see Cleveland. And congrats to Cleveland on a good season. It's impressive what they have there moving forward with, that core of Sexton, Allen, Garland, Mobley, and Allen. Yeah. Sexton's still there. You add him to the mix. Like, who knows? Maybe he's a trade piece or whatever.
I saw speculation that they're going to try to see if he can maybe return for the postseason. I mean, that'd be crazy. But
yeah, imagine him as a scorer off the bench for them. Like, Cleveland's good and they have some upside in the East in the future. But if you're the Celtics, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Heat, the Bulls, whoever, you would rather see Cleveland in the first round than any of the teams I just named, I would assume.
One more thing I want to ask you about specifically is the Nets, because on DraftKings are plus 250 to win the conference. And I think that surprised some people because people are like, well, Kyrie and the mandate, will it be removed? Will it not be removed? How much of that number is just an evaluation of the if factor when it comes to the Kyrie situation? And how much of that number for the Nets being the favorite to win the Eastern Conference is really them being the favorite?
I think it's all speculation, and it's all that books haven't moved, from the preseason favorite and all the talent that the Nets have. The Nets are a little overrated, but they're overrated because we don't know what they're going to have exactly and if they're going to get it together. But if we need to see how Simmons fits in, and now it's the back, and is he going to play? If Simmons is on the floor and playing average, just not being a head case and not getting in their way, and Kyrie becomes a full-time player and Durant is healthy, then yeah, they're the best team in the East. But I just gave you three ifs. So that's what makes it impossible to gauge and why the East is so open right now. So you have the favorite and we have three ifs with the favorite. That generally means there's value with other teams. I have some Heat plus 500. I have some Celtics plus 2,500. So I don't. That's why it's hard to have an opinion. We got to see where we're at when the playoffs start, and say okay, this is where this team is at. This is where the Nets are at. And because if the Nets have problems, if Durant is dinged up or Kyrie can't play full time and the playoffs are starting, and they're still the favorite, then that's when you say, okay, I got to play some other teams here.
Julian Edlow on Twitter at Julian Edlow. Doesn't just cover the NBA, but also college basketball. Julian, I got to ask you about the college basketball season. I mean, obviously this month it's March 1st. The madness is here, but is there a scenario that's, maybe piquing your interest a little bit more? Because I know you give out a lot of picks online, you give on your Twitter, picks every single day, but is there a team that's really caught your eye so far this season that you want everyone listening to keep an eye on this month?
I guess it depends. You want Cinderellas? Do you want teams that, to win it all? Or
I mean, what's a team that stands out to you that you are watching very closely because you've been seeing them all year? Like for example, for me, one of the things I noticed, I'm not as deep in the college basketball yet. I'm still ramping in there for me because of football season. And, I'm watching the Baylor Texas game last night, and they put the graphic up of the records of the 4 or 5 teams. And I'm like, my goodness, the Big 12, they're probably the best conference in all of the sport right now, right? In a world where the ACC is down and Syracuse doesn't even have a winning record anymore. Like, the college basketball world, like I'm looking at the Big 12 teams and I'm like, any of these teams can go to the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah, the Big 12 is really good. I think that they're going to have a lot of teams go deep in the tournament. The other conference I would say that about is the SEC. I've been watching a lot of the SEC. Very talented conference. Let me say this. I guess this will be my hot take of a team to watch. I guess it's a blue blood. It's a high seed. It's Kentucky, but I think at full strength, and they've had two of their best guards dinged up recently. They're back in the lineup, but they're just getting ramped up. I think Kentucky at full strength is the best team in college basketball. So if you tell me I'm going to get Kentucky fully healthy for 6 NCAA tournament teams, I'll take Kentucky to win it all. And I'm kind of hoping that they're in Gonzaga's bracket, not in their bracket. If they're a 2 seed, I kind of hope that they get in Gonzaga's bracket. If they're a 1 seed, I hope they're on Gonzaga's side of the bracket so that they play in a Final Four game. Because I would love to bet Kentucky in that game. But like you look at Kentucky right now, they're plus 180 to make the Final Four on DK Sportsbook. That's only winning 4 games, and they're going to be a 1 or a 2 seed. And I like them to beat whatever 1 seed they would get if they are a 2. So Kentucky plus 180 to make the Final Four, and be right in the mix for the national championship. I like a lot.
Kentucky's interesting because it feels like, I don't want to say they've been down, but like it almost feels like they kind of hit that rough patch. You know what I mean? That they used to be like the cream of the crop in the SEC, and you just mentioned the other team in the SEC now. You have Auburn out there. Alabama is sneaking up on teams. To me, Kentucky, they used to be the cream of the crop in the SEC, and now they're just like one of the teams almost.
Yeah, and that's fully attributed to the SEC just getting a lot better. Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee.
Arkansas, yeah.
Whoever else I'm forgetting. The SEC is a really good conference right now. So that's what I would attribute that to. And then this is just a different Kentucky team. We're used to it being like, all right, which 4 or 5 of these kids are going in the first round of the NBA draft? The only high level freshman they got is Ty Washington, who's one of the 2 guards I mentioned that has been injured lately. The rest of their lineup is all veteran transfers. It's a very different Kentucky build than we're used to, a very different mold than the Calipari one and dones. So what I like is they're a veteran team. They're a good shooting team. They make their free throws. And then Oscar Tshiebwe is one of the best rebounders we've seen in a long time in college basketball. So he can clean up the paint, clean up the glass while these guards just eat. And we know what guard talent does in the NCAA tournament. So that's the reason that I lean to Kentucky as the best team in college basketball. But again, we need them to be fully healthy.
He's Julian Edlow. Follow him on Twitter at Julian Edlow. DraftKings content specialist is the title that he has. It's way fancier than my title, that's for sure. You can catch him for all your NBA college basketball analysis all month long. It is March 1st. That means it's basketball time. This is the basketball month, okay? Who cares that baseball is not coming around? We got basketball. We got basketball to talk about. Julian, I appreciate you jumping on in the conversation. Take care, my friend.
Anytime, Josh. Take care.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of CLC. We will get to your thoughts on the other side. The text board is open at 609-403-0973. Yes, the text board is 609-403-0973. Or you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. Sixers, of course, back in action tomorrow night right here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
4-on-1, down to Embiid, and a slam. James Harden sets up Joel Embiid.
The Sixers host the New York Knicks. Coverage begins at 7:30. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. You asked for it, and Matt Blatt Nissan has agreed. AJ the Trade Man has extended the sale because used vehicles are still at an all-time high. So drive directly to Matt Blatt Nissan, and AJ will give you top dollar for your trade or even pay you cash on the spot. So cancel that service appointment. Don't even wash it because Matt Blatt Nissan needs your trade. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
That's the sound of your KFC chicken sandwich order. That's what happens next. Your chicken is Kentucky Fried to order. And that's the sound of your chicken being put on a brioche bun. Brioche buns don't make a lot of noise. Then we add sauce and pickles and serve your sandwich to you piping hot. Order the KFC chicken sandwich. It's Kentucky Fried to order on the KFC app or at KFC.com. At participating locations, the prices may vary.
High prices don't get you a great network. A great network gets you a great network. It's why Total Wireless runs on the largest, most dependable network with nationwide 5G. And now our totally unlimited plan is just $50 a month for talk, text, and high-speed data that never run out. Get unlimited laughing, scrolling, unlimited everything. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Best Buy. Capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Total Wireless reserves the right to review your account after 60 gigs. Terms and conditions at totalwireless.com/terms.
Okay, ladies, we all know one of the greatest feelings in the world when a friend says, "Girl, those pants look amazing on you." And I say, thanks. They're Skechers Go Walk Wear pants. And why do I always get compliments on these casual, athletic, stretchy pants? They're made with comfortable Go Flex fabric that has compression and hold. They have 4 pockets, plus they're machine washable and come in extended sizes. That's the Skechers Go Walk Wear line of pants. Find yours at Skechers.com, a Skechers store, and find retailers everywhere.
So in life, throws you uh-ohs. Just say, better get Mako.
Go to Mako.com for an online estimate today.
Hi, it's Rick. I'm at the Smith home. Where's Donnie?
Leaves and autumn bookings pile up for Rick's gutter cleaning service.
He's out? Come on.
He needs help before his bottom line gets clogged.
Okay, well, what about Cristiano? We still got 6 houses today.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Our conversation with Julian Edlow from DraftKings is being brought to you by Resorts Casino Hotel, home of DraftKings Sportsbook in Atlantic City. Visit resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Josh Hennig here in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We'll get some of you guys' thoughts and comments in just a bit. 609-403-0973 is the text board. As always, you can text the show if you're listening on 97.3 ESPN FM and, of course, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. I see I got a couple of messages to get here. I see a message from Drew out there. We'll get to him in just a moment. But first, Dan EHT came in a little bit earlier. And I kind of used Dan's question, his comment, as a question for Julian Edlow. So when I read this, you'll notice that I kind of repurposed it a little bit because I wanted to give it to Julian before I commented on it. Danny HC says Sixers and then everyone else with a full strength rotation. Sixers may only lose 3 games the rest of the season and the playoffs. The problem with your assertion, Dan, is you're basing it off of a 2-game sample size. I'm not saying that Harden and Embiid aren't the best tandem in the NBA right now, because they very, very possible be. No offense to Durant, but he won championships with the Warriors. He didn't win it on his own. Okay, let's all be honest. All right, his ring has got a little bit of an asterisk next to it, just a little bit. But seriously, like, to me, I can't give the Sixers as prohibitive favorites to win or top line favorites not because I don't believe in Embiid and Harden. I mean, personally, I would take the bet if someone asked me to bet it. My issue is, and it's not even the Nets. My issue is 2 other teams in the standings right now. I think the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks should be the 2 favorites in the Eastern Conference right now. First of all, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man, as Ric Flair used to say. The Bucks are still the kings. They are still on the mountaintop. They are your defending champs. And if they get Ibaka back to full strength, they are going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA. I still need to see a team beat them in a 7-game series before I'm ready to just rule them out. Yeah, you got Embiid and Harden, but they got Giannis, and they got Middleton, and they got Holiday. They got 3, and you got 2, and we think 3. I love Tyrese Maxey, and I'm so glad they never traded him. But guys, let's keep it 100 here. Tyrese Maxey is not of the experience and the resume of Drew Holiday yet. Now, he may get there one day. Maxey may end up being a 5-time All-Star and all this good stuff someday. But he's not there yet. He's not a former All-Star, NBA All-Defensive Team kind of player like Drew Holiday is. And I would still say that if you go big 2, Embiid and Giannis are pretty much eye to eye, and Harden is definitely better than Middleton. But right now, Holiday is a little better than Maxey. Right now. Maybe not 5 years from now, but right now he is. And then when it comes to the Heat, I think the Heat's defense is the one team that can physically match up with the Sixers. And you're going to see that this Saturday play out. Bam Adebayo is one of the only big men in the league who's athletic enough to keep up with Embiid. You can't stop him. I don't think anybody can stop Embiid, but he's athletic enough to keep up. Jimmy Butler versus James Harden will be a fascinating chess game. And I think Kyle Lowry versus Maxey is going to frustrate the young man for sure. And that leads us to Tobias Harris. Drew chimes in, says, people are down on Tobias right now, but these first 2 games with Harden have been bad matchups for him versus length. Harden is a master of switching and finding matchup problems, so I'm sure he's going to create situations for Tobias Harris to punish players when the opportunity comes. Listen, Drew, I'm not down on Tobias. I talked with Keith Pompey about this yesterday. I think Tobias Harris is going to find his footing. The problem for Tobias is that he needs to adjust as well. It's not just about Harden finding him. It's about Harris finding the groove of Harden and Maxey and Embiid. They need him to do 2 things consistently. They need him to be a cutter, and they need him to be a catch-and-shoot guy. I think Harris has lived for so long in the role of being Embiid and Maxey's guy that now that he's the 4th guy, I think he's still trying to find his place on the floor. And I think that when it comes to Tobias, he still has to find his way. He still needs to find what he does best. And in this offense, it's not the outside-inside game or the inside-outside game that he has played. There's a lot of times before Hardin got here, he kind of worked that baseline a little bit. He'd start on the outside, work his way to the box, work his way up the baseline, and then rotate. Now he can't do that. Now he needs to be less methodical and more, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going here, I'm going there. It's kind of like, if you guys remember to the Sacramento Kings days, when it was Chris Webber and Mike Bibby and Peja Stojakovic and Doug Christie, Bobby Jackson coming off the bench, Vlade Divac was the center. They were a team that was all about movement. They were a team that was all about not just going to a spot and staying there. There was a very purposeful and deliberate placement of those players and that movement on the floor. I think the Sixers need to have Tobias function a little bit more like let's say an amalgamation of Peja Stojakovic and Doug Christie, and less like Chris Webber. If Chris Webber was the best player on the Kings, then that's Joel Embiid's role. And if James Harden is some combination of Doug Christie, Mike Bibby, and Jason Williams, white chocolate, then you need Harris to function differently in this offense on the floor with these guys. And I think that's something Tobias is going to have to learn. And he will learn it. I definitely think he will. And Drew follows up on the messenger and says, the Heat are a really talented team top to bottom with their bench scoring, but 1-5, I don't think there's any way they match up. Well, we're going to find out Saturday, Drew. We're going to find out Saturday, buddy. Because Saturday is going to be a tough matchup. Because you play the Cavs at home that night, then you got to fly down to Miami and play the Heat. I'm guaranteeing you that's probably either a loss or a buzzer beater win for the Sixers. Because the Heat the first time round are going to show something the Sixers haven't seen yet. And that is a team of veterans and athletes who know more than them. Seriously, they know more than them. The Heat have been to the finals or have a chip already. Lowry's got a ring. Jimmy's been to the finals. Bam Adebayo has been to the finals. PJ Tucker's been to the finals. Tucker won it with the Bucks. Like, these guys have an experience that the Sixers don't have yet. Not the Sixers can't beat them in the 7-game series, but I think that when the Heat beat them this Saturday, it's going to put some of the Sixers' flaws on tape. Then the next stage of their evolution will be to grow and adapt. Dan EHT says, the greatest twosomes in NBA history. Kobe and Shaq, Jordan and Pippen, Curry and Durant, Harden and Embiid. Well, here's the thing, Dan EHT. There's one thing that all those guys have that the Sixers do and don't have yet. That's rings. We put those guys in that category because they have championships. For better or for worse. I mentioned the Kings. The Kings are one of the greatest teams to never win an NBA championship. It doesn't mean we think, or I don't think, any less of Weber and Bibby and all those guys. You go back to the Suns team with Barkley and Kevin Johnson. That was a great duo. Never won a ring. We don't treat them the same way because they didn't win that ring. Some other ones out there, Clyde Drexler is treated differently now because he won a ring with Olajuwon later in his career. But, when he and the Portland Trailblazers lost to the Bulls, and they also lost to the Pistons a couple years earlier, They're reviewed a certain way. And I think that for right now, I'm not going to put Embiid and Hardin in that category until they at least get to the finals. They could do that. But the test is you got to get there first. If this Sixers team does get out of the second round, it is one of the greatest disappointments in franchise history. All right, I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Flyers hockey, top of the hour next here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Have a great night, everybody.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
You know why Joel Embiid had 37? He went 23 of 27 from the free throw line because James put him in a lot of those situations where he was able to draw contact and the game becomes easier for him.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.